Welcome to this episode of Talk Commerce. Today I have Rich Kahn. He is the CEO and founder of Anura. Rich, go ahead, do an introduction. Tell us your day-to-day role and one of your passions in life.
I'm the CEO and co-founder of the company, so I originally started by writing all the code myself, doing all the sales myself, while my partner was handling all the financing and all the business aspect of stuff. Today, my role is really just guiding the leadership to make sure their teams are doing what needs to be done, getting involved on some key accounts where needed. So I get to spend a little less time working in the business, more time working on the business, which is nice. Yeah, it's kind of what I'm doing day to day.
Sorry, I'm going to go off on a limb. Traction, EOS, are you running any operating system in the background to help you run better?
EOS. We started EOS probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Awesome.
It's great because I've been building businesses on the internet since '93. Never had structure, just did my thing, and it seemed to work out. But in this company, it's a very different company. We're working with bigger clients. We're working with different situations. And a client of mine actually recommended EOS, and we heard it come up a couple of times. We looked for an implementer, got set up, brought him in, and been happy with it ever since. It reduces the amount of meetings that we have throughout the week with the leadership and increases productivity of the meeting that we do have. With EOS, it's one meeting a week with leadership, and it becomes very specific of what has to get done, goals to accomplish, and keeps the beat of the company running, which is nice.
That's great. Yeah, we won't go into EOS, but I'm a big believer in EOS, and it definitely helped me in my last company. So Rich, before we get started talking about, we're going to talk about bots today. Before we do that, you have volunteered to be part of the Free Joke Project. So I'm just going to tell you a joke, and you just give me a rating 8 through 13. So hopefully I can get it out here. Here we go. Not all construction work is equally enjoyable. For example, enlarging a drilling hole is boring, but fastening a piece of metal together is riveting.
We'll go with a 10 on that one.
Yeah.
My kids would call that a dad joke.
It's definitely a dad joke, and I kind of screwed up it was too long for me to read. So anyways, all right. Let's talk about bots. I know in the green room, we talked a little bit about my past glory days in Magento and how bots would take down websites. And I'm sure they still take down websites. Tell us about the bot business.
Well, bots, they can take down websites if they're a strategic attack and they want to take down a site. But what they're like the bots that we're catching and we're focusing on is the ad bots, the bots that are clicking on your ad units. Let's look at it this way. Last year, as a global society, the world spent a little over $700 billion in digital marketing. Of that, 40 billion was stolen by fraudsters, taking advantage of bots, malware, human fraud farms, whatever their choice is. But so instead of taking down websites, they're taking your money. So on average, we find 20 to 25% of anybody's traffic that they're paying for is fraudulent, which means that audience is not going to convert because it's not real audience. It's fake. It's fictitious. I should say fictitious. So really, that's what we're seeing now. And like I said, I've been doing internet businesses since '93. The internet was made public in '91. Bots used to be like, DDoS attacks for taking down websites and stuff like that. Those type of bots are different types of bots, and they're designed for destructive purposes. Like, for example, taking down a website. That still happens today, but there's more technology out to prevent that kind of stuff from happening. Most back in the day, you used to host your own web server. You'd have a T1 coming into your office. You put a couple servers on a rack and manage your website. Now everybody uses cloud computing because it's cheap, it's fast, it's easy to use. And we're an AWS shop, for example. AWS includes types of DDoS attack prevention. So it minimizes that type of attack. But again, if a fraudster wants to take your site down, they will find a way to use bots to take you down. What we're seeing bots take advantage of is really trying to steal money, because it's so profitable.
Where do you see the biggest impact then from a fraud side? How are bots getting in, and what is it exactly that they're stealing from the merchants?
So there's a lot of different scenarios on how this works. Let's use a Google example, right? Because Google is one of the biggest places where you can buy internet advertising, so I might as well stick and use them as an example. But it happens in every channel. Doesn't matter what channel you're buying from. So with Google, when you're building your campaign, you start building it out, put your basic information together, your targeting criteria. There's a little checkbox that's pre-checked that says includes partner networks, right? Most people skip over that because it's kind of hidden, and you just keep building out your campaign. And it's recommended to use by Google because it gives you more traffic, access to bigger audiences and things like that. Well, what that is doing is it's saying you're not going to get all your traffic from google.com. You're going to get traffic from millions of websites around the globe. some of these websites are well known, like a CNN or weather.com, stuff like that might have Google ads placed on it. But then you have these lot of small sites that might be blog sites, maybe informational sites that have access to it. So now what happens is Google takes a client's ad, puts it on that website, depending on how it's built out. Somebody clicks on it, that website owner makes money. So now you can see they're incentivized to generate more clicks on those ads. So either A, knowingly, the site owner decides, hey, I can make a bot, I can get a bot, download a bot and get AI to write me a bot, click on that ad, and make me more money. Or they realize, hey, I've got 10,000 visitors a month hitting my site, which is a small sweat site, and I'm making so much money for these clicks. What if I bought some more traffic? And they go find cheap traffic. And the key in that is cheap traffic. Cheap traffic tends to have a lot of fraud in it. And they buy this cheap traffic, think they're doing a good thing. Meanwhile, that cheap traffic is generating false interactions, which is making money. And the problem is the advertiser is never going to get any type of true conversion out of that because it's not real. It's not a real audience. So what they want to do is, the goal of what we do is to help people eliminate that audience so they can spend their money and their budget on real audiences that convert.
How do you help the merchant to make sure that their bot or that their site is ready for a bot? And do you distinguish between different types of bots? You had mentioned the fraudsters, but there's legitimate bots out there too. And sometimes the legitimate bots can be a little bit overzealous for scraping your site. How do you weed through that?
Well, most good bots, I should say, we'll say most because there's no such thing as ever and always, right? Most good bots will identify themselves as the Google bot, the Bing bot, the SEMrush bot. Like they'll in their description when they hit the tap to the site, they'll tell you what kind of bot it is so that you can deal with that if you know it's a good bot. Like a scraping bot, like a Google bot, you want them to scrape your information so that you can get included in their index and get free traffic or get earned traffic. But the bad bots are the ones that try to make themselves look like real humans by mimicking an iPhone coming from, some city in America, because most campaigns are built. I think it was like 50 or 60% of all digital marketing is spent by US companies. So we're the biggest consumer of the digital advertising. And that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to steal that money by clicking on those links, generating money. And again, every channel's got a different way of doing it, but that's an example using Google.
What do you see for users who are trying to either increase that or encourage the bots to come to their site? Is there anything that you help in that regard?
Well, if it's the site owner and they're knowingly letting bots in, they're not our ideal client because they're committing fraud, right? However, what we try to do is help the advertiser that's showing up on that website identify where the traffic's coming from and then start putting blocks in place to prevent that traffic from hitting their ads.
How about the idea that now bots are changing? They're going to more LLMs, Perplexity and ChatGPT are going to start scraping. Does it matter what's out there, and are there potentially frauds within that community?
The general sites like a ChatGPT or all this other AI that's out there that's scraping content does it the right way. They all have their bot signature, says, hey, this is a ChatGPT bot. Coming in what they're doing and why they're there. It's the ones that try to hide themselves, the ones that we're looking at and trying to protect, because if a bot impersonates a real person and they're using AI to do this, it becomes very difficult to identify that it's a bot because the signature of bot's not there. It looks like a real person. AI knows what a real person looks like. And what we're trying to do is uncover the fact that it's a fraudulent visitor so that our clients can do something with that. They can either prevent them from filling out a form, prevent them from using a credit card, prevent them from seeing their ad again, whatever is going to help them depending on, and every client's a little different.
Is there, I think that there's this thing called clickbait. Is there a thing called clickbot?
Well, clickbots with an S, bots that click on ads, yeah. In fact, if you decide to go on the dark web and search for FraudGPT, you'll find a piece of software, a piece of AI software that will actually physically write bots to click on ads. So you can say, I want a bot. You can actually just tell it, I want a bot that's going to click on ads. Here's a website I want to attack. Make it look like it's coming from all over the country, or whatever, all the different feedback that you want to give it, go. It'll build you a bot. And if you don't know if you're not technical enough to deploy it, it will tell you step by step how to deploy the bot so that people without technical skill can now get involved in this type of crime.
I saw on your website you had bot farms. Tell what is a bot farm and what does that entail?
So bot farms are literally just like, what a server farm is, right? So they're taking advantage of server farms and running bots across dozens, if not hundreds of different machines, and they're all acting, and they don't have to be in the same physical location or the same hosting provider. They can be all over the world, but they all have the same common purpose. It could be bots all over the globe that are attacking one site. So like we talked a little bit about bots taking down sites, that's a DDoS attack, right? Distributed denial of service attack. So that can happen when a bunch of bots attack a site using a special type of attack to take it down. The same thing happens with clickbots. You can have clickbots running all over the globe because you don't want the clicks coming from one server, one device, because it becomes pretty obvious what it is. So you have to have lots of bots all over the world to make it look more legit. And that's kind of what a bot farm is all about.
I think a little earlier you'd mentioned authenticating users or making sure that the forms are right. Is the current way of doing reCAPTCHA or whatever, is that the type of system we should have in place to stop bots from scraping your site or from putting forms in and creating leads?
Yeah, the problem is CAPTCHA has been beat. I want to say early 2000s. It might have been back in the 90s, but early 2000s, regular plain software was able to put into a bot to be able to get around that. So it doesn't serve the purpose that it once did. In fact, we've all seen it. If we've been on the internet for a little bit, we've all seen the evolving of CAPTCHA. It used to be, hey, just check this box that I'm not a robot, right? That was the first one. Just check a box. The next one was the puzzles. Line this puzzle up so it matches. The next one after that was click all the street signs, right, on all these pictures. And what's happened is they're trying to evolve the CAPTCHA to keep up and stay ahead of bots, but they just haven't been able to. As soon as a new version is out, within hours, they're beat. And now with AI, I mean, you don't even have to program it. As a new one evolves, the AI itself will figure out how to get around it. But really, what does CAPTCHA do? There was a study out of Harvard, and I want to say the number was 34%. So what they were saying was 34% of the time, real humans fail at CAPTCHA. And we all know this, right? You come up to the CAPTCHA, you typed it in, oh, you missed a character, oh, you clicked on a box, you missed one, it does it over again, and it just upsets the buyer's journey. So instead of protecting the site and keeping bots off, which it's really not doing a good job of because bots get around it, it's really hurting your buyer's journey, which is interfering with your site's ability to convert. And that's a big problem. So CAPTCHA is the last thing I would put on somebody's website.
What do you do then to get around that? What is your solution?
Our solution analyzes over 800 data points on the visitor landing on the web page. And from that information, it knows how the data comes in, how those data points interact with each other. And from that, we can give a definitive thumbs up or thumbs down if it's a real person or not. And then based on that, someone can take real-time action. Like if it was a bot, hey, don't let the credit card go through. Don't let them fill out a form. Don't let them go to a different page or whatever you want to do with them. Each client does something a little different, but at least you know what you're dealing with, and then you have the ability to deal with it in real time.
Do you have a percentage of fraud that happens from bots? Is there a calculator that you have that can help understand what the percentage is that would impact you as a customer depending on your traffic?
Yeah. So initially, we tell everyone on average it's about 25%. But it really depends on the channel of marketing that you use. So if you go to Anura.io, we have in one of our resources there is a fraud calculator. And in that fraud calculator, you can select which channels of digital marketing you're using. Each one has a different percentage of fraud, and we'll add them up and just give a simple average across the board. So like if you picked programmatic and affiliate marketing, those are the two highest levels of fraud, and you put in that you were spending $100,000 in digital marketing a month, it's going to tell you you're losing $47,500 a month. So it actually puts a dollars and cents on it for you. But it depends. Like there's a couple different things you can play with, so you can actually get an idea of, I'm spending all my money on Google or I'm spending it all on Facebook. How much fraud am I dealing with? That'll give you some idea.
How about from an implementation? We've got people are getting ready now for Black Friday. Hopefully you probably already locked on your site. Is it too late for a merchant to get something like this in place before Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
No, not at all. In fact, most of our clients, I think it's the last number I saw was about 75% of the internet is powered by Google Tag Manager. We're pre-built into Google Tag Manager, so within 3 minutes with no tech resources, you can have us deployed, up and running. So it's a simple thing to deploy, but all the heavy lifting is done on the back end, so that protects the client.
That's awesome, Rich. We have a few minutes left as I close out the podcast to give everybody a chance to do a shameless plug about anything they'd like. What would you like to plug today?
So what I always tell people, it's no longer a question of if you have fraud, it's a question of how much fraud you have. And for that, we offer a free 15-day trial where we can actually scan your traffic, find out exactly how much fraud you have, where it's coming from, and if it makes sense to put a game plan together to mitigate it. So if you're curious about it, take advantage of the free trial. Like I said, it's free. There's no obligation after that.
And tell us how they get a hold of you.
The best way to get a hold of the company is Anura.io. That's ANURA.io. We do own .com, but we bought it a while after. We didn't want to mess with our SEO, so we keep our main site as .io. Or you can find me, Rich Kahn, Kahn, on LinkedIn. I post on a regular basis. I take podcasts like this that I'm on a regular basis, post them as well, so people have plenty of content to absorb.
Awesome. Great. Rich Kahn is the founder and CEO of Anura. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.